Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a little bit different than some of my other ones, and hopefully it's not something that you're just hearing for the very first time. It is a topic that everybody is talking about, everybody is listening to, but yet we're all sick of talking about it and sick of listening to it. Now, if you're not picking up what I'm putting down, I'm talking about contact dermatitis. Now, if you just rolled your eyes and want to skip to the next video, I would just wait. There is so much misinformation out there, and people don't do their research. I didn't. I've been doing gel nails for 6 years, and my personal story will be in part 2, because this is going to be a part 2, hopefully not a part 3. But so first of all, what is contact dermatitis? Also short form ACD, allergic contact dermatitis. So I tend to use that acronym a lot when typing, but it's basically from gel nails, but it's a reaction to chemicals known as acrylates and methacrylates. So the gel products contain two main ingredients, monomer and photoinitiators, which are in the family of acrylates and methacrylates. So if this is big words a lot, don't worry. Grab your notepad and pen. I'm going to go through all of it. I'm going to go through the chemicals, what they do, how they affect you, and save this video, because I have done so much research on my own. I have found amazing people. Disclaimer, actually, I am not a chemist. I am far from being a chemist. However, a lot of the information that I have researched, gotten from, are from actual chemists who specialize specifically in the nail and beauty industry. So if I can't trust them and I can't believe what they say, who are we to trust? So let's get into it. Now, those ingredients, the monomers, photoinitiators, acrylates, they're all known to be skin sensitizers. So that means when absorbed into the skin, it may cause an allergy. And if an allergy does develop with contact dermatitis, the most frustrating thing is it's not curable. It won't resolve in time or taking a break, and there's ultimately no way to prevent the reoccurrence from an allergic reaction. Now, the treatment is avoidance. So you can either buy the products that are those specific chemicals free, also get the MSDS sheet from them as well. I believe in the US it's just called MSD sheet or MDS sheet. I'm not sure. I'm in Canada, so we call it MSDS sheet, which is just a sheet of their data safety sheet, which would have the ingredients on it, because these brands tend to not have their ingredients on their boxes. I've done more research with that, went through all my products, and very rare are any on the bottle as well. So if you have an allergy or you're having reactions to gel nails, I've done it and you're gonna have to do it, and reach out to the company with the specific item number so they know which product you're referring to, and ask them for the safety sheet, the MSDS sheet, or at least the ingredients. Like, I have a cream gel by Emily, and on the box it came in, smack dab over the ingredients was a big Chinese shipping label. So I reached out to them, and literally I think the next day I had a reply with a screenshot of the backing of that product and the ingredients because it claimed to be HEMA TPO free, which I'll get into those later when I talk about the chemicals. And you can't always trust that. There's so many and it's a broad spectrum. So fortunately, I've switched to press-ons, which are one of your options, or stop doing your nails completely. If you can't do that, then I would invest in some of the products. I'm going to go by the ones, I believe it's Eileen, I think it's Irene on TikTok, who has been a huge influence. I'm going to mention at the end some good influencers, doctors who are chemists in the nail industry and stuff. So Irene actually, she's had this allergy. She's done some crazy stuff, and you're going to want to look at her videos unless you're a Beatles fan. If you're a Beatles fan, but it doesn't matter. Beatles is the same ingredients as my red carpet or whatever. They all have those ingredients. To what extent? We don't know. You need the MSDS sheet. So anyways, all cases of contact dermatitis that were associated with acrylic or gel nails with severe onychodystrophy or psoriasis, which I'll talk about because I actually do have onychodystrophy. So it's a condition where like your fingernail can separate from the nail bed, which mine do as they grow out. They're extremely short. I don't know if you can see because every time they start to grow, they are so thin and brittle. I use my cuticle clippers and I have to cut them and trim them and make sure, you know, like, and I'm hoping that when it grows out, it's not going to be like that I'm still going through the healing process of my last flare-up, but we'll see. So, like onychodystrophy, it's basically a broad term for abnormal nail changes, including problems with their shape, texture, growth, resulting from infections, nail trauma, skin conditions like psoriasis, even certain medications such as chemotherapy drugs. So, like I said, symptoms will include cracked, crumbling nails. In some cases, they may separate from the nail bed, like I mentioned, become discolored. Now, that is what people usually, I think, call greenies, which is, I believe, fungus in your nail when there's an air pocket. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, educate me, don't belittle me. So that's one thing aside, and I'm going to get into when you have developed the allergy. It's important to distinguish whether it's an immediate reaction or a delayed hypersensitivity. Okay, so I'm going to go over that, and this reference or that where I got this information is from Dr. Stern, who is a doctor who is a board certified dermatologist and specializes in nail health and nail disorders. So if you can't trust her or the other people I'm going to talk about, I give up. All right, so number one, you're going to want to determine whether it's an immediate reaction or a delayed hypersensitivity. So it can develop after repeated exposure to the chemicals, and contact dermatitis occurs if it occurs immediately after exposure, usually on the skin surrounding your nail, like around your cuticle or the lateral fold on, like, that's the sides of your nails. That could happen. And as per Dr. Stern, this is called an irritant reaction as opposed to true allergies. This is due to damage to the skin cells by overexposure to the harsh chemicals. So, like I mentioned, trustworthy resource. Now, delayed hypersensitivity reaction is a reaction in your immune system that occurs in somebody who has obviously been overexposed repeatedly to the harsh chemicals. Over time, your immune system learns to recognize and react to the chemical. So the littlest drop of exposure can cause a full inflammatory cascade. And when I say cascade, I'm talking the flare-ups are bad, the healing is bad. It takes a long time to heal. And anyways, my story, like I said, will be later. How I got it, and preventions, alternatives, tips, all of that. So basically, that is why you could have been doing. I've been doing my nails for 6 years. I didn't catch it until 2022 from polygel. Don't get me started on polygel. Then summer of 2024 was when I started getting that itching. And I thought, okay, nobody was talking about ACD, and even when you would watch tutorial after tutorial after tutorial, they say don't get gel on your skin. They don't say why. And it makes you think, as a DIYer and somebody who's been doing it for so long, oh, like, obviously, yeah, I'm just gonna wipe the uncured gel on, or sometimes, like, it would even be there, and I'm like, oh, it doesn't matter, it flakes off after a couple days. I thought it was to have a nice looking manicure when you're done, because you don't want, gel on your fingers. But nobody in any tutorial, in any video that I watched in the last, I want to say 5 years, 4 years, because now it's everywhere, was talking about it or said why you should not get it on your skin. And me, I'm the type of person, like, do as I say, not as I do, because I do dumb shit. But, I didn't think it was something like this. So now is when you're probably going to want to grab your notebook and pen. I'm going to be using some big words and explaining the chemical side of how these chemicals work, how they react together, and what they all do. And that is probably, well, that is the reason nail techs are certified and have to go to school, because they know this science. They know that they're dealing with chemicals. Us DIYers at home, we just get a bunch of, order a kit off Amazon that, has everything included in it that you think you need. When it doesn't, trust me. But it's not about cheap products. Do you know how much products and shit that I have from Temu? And that wasn't what gave me an allergic reaction. They all have the same ingredients to different ratios, to different levels, but it's the ingredients in all of them. So let's start off about basically how they work. This information is good to know, so that way, if you are going to go the route of getting, let's just say, hypoallergenic nail polish or nail products, you'll know what to look for, what to do, because these nail companies are shady as fuck. Like I said, they usually don't include their ingredients, and sometimes I've only had to do it once or twice by reaching out to the supplier for the MSDS sheet. You may not always get a response as quickly as I did for my MLE gel polish. So basically, it's for your safety. So number one, go see a dermatologist, get tested for the chemical, like specify that it's for acrylates, chemical testing. I don't know. They'll know like exactly, because I've been for allergy testing before, but it was basically like trees, pollen, grass, that kind of thing where they poke you in the arm. Well, apparently I'm allergic to everything, every pollen, grass, and tree and animal except for parrots, and I'm not allergic to wheat, but I have celiac. That's because celiac's an autoimmune disease, not an allergy. Anyways, I'm getting off topic. So, while found in gel products, unless specified HPMA, which thanks to Irene, I was able to know what the scientific name of that is. I always had it written down, but just never took the time to just quickly Google that one. HEMA and TPO. So HPMA, HEMA, TPO. Free, but that doesn't mean that they actually are, which is why it's so important to get the MSDS sheet, or if included on the packaging or bottles, look at the ingredients. And even then, it's not 100% chance they're telling the truth. I'll explain a little bit about that later on when I get more into the chemicals and explain what they're called, what they're consisted of, etc. So we all seem to know the name of and trust brands when they say their products are free of these ingredients, like HEMA, aka hydroethyl methacrylate. I can say it all the time, no problem. But then I get on camera and I'm like, Anyways, it's basically, I think this was also Dr. Stern, called the most commonly sensitizing methacrylate. And just because a product says they're HEMA free doesn't mean that they're safe. So HEMA might be swapped for HPMA or HEMA, DI hyphen HEMA, or other acrylates that are just as sensitizing, sometimes even more so. So unless you've got the full ingredient MSDS list, you're trusting marketing over chemistry. And some brands will use umbrella terms to hide behind proprietary blends. Transparency? Not always. That's why this information is very important. So just to add to this part here, I'm going to talk about photo initiators. I'll discuss a little bit of it more later, but the ingredient for that is TPO. So TPO is what makes gel cure under UV LED light, but they're also the main culprits to allergic reactions. Other photoinitiators like BAPO and like those compounds can also trigger reactions, especially when the gels are undercured. And I'll explain the chemicals, what they do, and what you should look for. Now, the number one that everybody seems to talk about is HEMA. And if a product just says HEMA free, don't trust it. Now, there's HEMA is a monomer, and a monomer is a small molecule that acts as building blocks for polymers, which are just larger, more complex molecules. I'll get into that as well. So this is where you want your notes. So this is HEMA, so hydroxyethyl methacrylate is HEMA, which is a monomer. That's what you need to know right there. Bing, bang, boom, cool. So now if a product says HEMA free, this is what you should look for to make sure that it's still safe. to use. So if you see the ingredient 2-hydroxyl-propyl methacrylate, like 2-HPMA. So again, 2-hydroxyl-propyl methacrylate, or 2-HPMA, not HEMA, 2-HPMA. And that was what Irene explained to me. I guess that's the ingredient she's allergic to. So it's basically an ester of methacrylate, that methacrylate acid with a hydroxyl propyl group, commonly used in the production of acrylic polymers, adhesive, coatings, inks. So cool. Look for that, because that's also what this product should be free of. And the next one that may kind of trick you is N dash. Not sure if it's in brackets. I saw it in brackets, but then N dash 2 dash hydroxypropyl methacrylamide. So notice how the wordings, and especially somebody like me, I've read these words a million times and can say them, but as soon as I get on cam, I have a hard time. But I'm also realizing now that there is a difference. So HEMA is hydroxyethyl methacrylate. HPMA is 2-hydroxypropyl methacrylate. And this one doesn't have an acronym, but it's N-2-hydroxypropyl methacrylamide. So a methacrylamide is derived with a hydroxypropyl side chain, often used in biomedical applications, especially polymer drug delivery systems. So I'm going to post up here at some point, probably not the full clip, but it's a Facebook reel, and it was actually, I believe, from like 2022, of, this redneck guy, like, working in a factory, and who actually stood up for all of us nail girlies. He's like, now I'm no chemist or anything, but my boss is. And they work with acrylates all day, and they're making plastic products. So he didn't have an allergy, but his chemist boss did. Even if the slightest bit got on his boss, he would have to take the rest of the day off. But his boss is a chemist. So now, the key differences between a methyl acrylate and methacrylamide, I'll get into that. So the methacrylate version, so 2-HPMA, it's an ester in more common industrial applications. So methacrylamide, N-HPMA, is a more prevalent in the medical research settings. I don't have examples of that. I can get them if you would like. I would probably like to know. And another very important chemical you need to watch out for is TPO. So TPO is trimethyl benzoyl diphenyl phosphine oxide. That one I usually don't have a problem saying for some reason, but like I said, when I get on camera, I'm like, ugh. Anyways, and that's a photo initiator. So TPO is one of the most common chemicals found in polishes. It's also known as a extreme skin sensitizer to trigger allergic reactions or potentially cause an allergy. So TPO is a synthetic chemical that's used in UV curable products. as a photoinitiator, such like as gel nails, they absorb the ultraviolet light, which causes the hardening process. So it's a monoacrylphosphine oxide that functions by absorbing the UV light in the UVA, UVB, and UVC bands, which triggers the curing of the polymer. So I am going to have a picture of the molecules, how they work and combine together to make it big, long chains. So again, I hope you're taking notes because I'm far from done. I'm going to briefly talk about monomer, polymer, and what copolymers are and how they play into your gel products. Now, first, I'm going to talk about monomer. And in this situation, when I refer to monomer, it's not that big giant jug of monomer for acrylic nails. Okay, this monomer, it's a simple molecule that is a building block for larger molecules, more complex molecules called polymers. So these small units bond with each other in a process called polymerization to form long chains or networks. You'll see that in the picture that I'm going to post somewhere around here. Okay, so that is monomer. So think of monomer as, well, you'll see in the picture, it might make a little bit more sense. Now, polymer is a large molecule made from many smaller repeating units called monomers. So it's a whole bunch of monomers combined. So polymers can be natural, like DNA and proteins, synthetic, and many plastics, and are found in mostly every aspect of life. And this is what we're putting on our skin, on our hands, and their structure and size determines by property. So making them essential materials for a wide range of applications, even clothing and packaging, to advanced technologies like flexible solar cells. And basically, the size of the molecule, it depends, like, can it penetrate through your nail bed? Yes, it probably can. There's anyways, I'm not going to get into that part. And real quick here, copolymer is a synthetic copolymer containing two or more monomers from the acrylic acidic family, such as acrylic acid, methacrylic acid, or their esters. All right, and now I'm going to get into the polymerization process. So as mentioned, TPO is the most common photoinitiators in gel products, which involves light activated molecules that convert liquid gel to a solid state through polymerization. So the hardening process. When exposed to UV or LED light, the photoinitiators absorb energy, break apart into free radicals, which then initiate a chain reaction, linking the gel's monomers and oligomers monomers and into solid polymer chains. There we go. Spit it out. So oligomers, there we go. I knew I've heard it, but this is like, I did a little bit extra research. So they're just basically short chains of pre-linked monomers that form the thing, like gel consistency, and give polish its flexibility yet durable properties after curing. And the picture I'm going to show you, there's 3 major steps in the polymerization process. So the first one is initiation, which in this picture here is the red dots. They're just unpaired electrons, aka free radicals, are formed from bonds breaking symmetrically. So that's the red dots. Now, the second step is chain elongation. The free radicals attacks a monomer unit, which would be the purple. The free radical is passed on to the new radical, can attack another monomer, such as oligomers, which is the blue. This step repeats thousands and thousands of times throughout the polymerization process. And the third is termination. Sounds kind of bad, but anyways, the free radicals attack another free radical. So polymer, oligomer, again, the blue. Since a free radical is an unpaired electron, when two free radicals meet up, they pair together, stop each other from reaching further. So the final polymer chain is thousands of monomers long. Now, when I say this and have explained kind of that process to you, do you ever wonder why you get heat spikes under the lamp? Heat spikes are the photoinitiators absorbing the UV energy. They start to split into radicals that make the molecules in the polish bind to longer polymer chains. And during this curing reaction it happens many times at rapid speed, which will cause the heat spikes. The more monomer in your polish, the more reactions and higher heat spikes that you could encounter. But once the process is complete, you have a solid bound structure of polymers and that now are too large to penetrate the skin. That's what I was talking about earlier. I knew something about how big and little the molecules were to pass through the nail bed. I gotta put that in the parking lot for later. I'm gonna have to write it down because there's nothing up here. So anyways, that is the polymerization and the curing of your nails. So just for this part of my video, I'm going to leave you all with this for now. So I recommend definitely bookmarking, saving, well, number one, subscribe and share, comment, share to your nail buddies, your nail girlies, your DIYers, because this is very important information. Save it so you can go back and look at or listen to those ingredients, the pictures that I display, what you should and should not do. But I'm gonna just go through here what you should do if you start experiencing reactions. So number one, stop doing your nails immediately. Not even just one more set, not one set, take them off, stop. 2, go see a dermatologist about getting the pass test for acrylates, like I had mentioned, to find out which one it is, one or more, that you are allergic to, so that way you know what to look for in gel nail ingredients. 2, you do like what I did. I switched to press-ons during the summer when I was having my flare-ups. And getting all of that new free stuff, I was just using like the half tips, but in full, to test out do my swatches, because I didn't have swatch sticks, nothing like that at the time. So at one point, when I just kept getting daily penny deals on Temu and then also purchasing stuff on Amazon, I was like, I'm wasting all these like half tips. Why don't I just make press-ons? Just made more sense, because I had these random nail tips with gorgeous designs everywhere, and they're half tips. You can't, anyways, besides the fact. So you can either do that, like I did, switch to press-ons. One, it's fun. I've made a business out of it. And Two, you can find HEMA-free alternatives, but only after your skin has healed. Now, I do, even with my press-ons, it's fun, it's artistic, it's my escape, just to sit here and paint nails and do art on them, but I so miss doing my nails like I used to, with the half tips and cutting them and shaping them myself. But it is what it is. So I'm here to help you guys not go through what me and many, many other people are going through, and also educate the people who, if you live under a rock, may not have heard anything about this. Now, just a couple myths is HEMA-free means allergy-free. No. Other acrylates can trigger reactions, and like I said, companies will use umbrella terms to not to show that they're not using HEMA. So another one, that you've used this brand for years, that can't be the problem. As mentioned earlier, it's an allergy that develops over time from your skin being exposed to uncured gel, and your immune system has just said, fuck you, I've had enough, now you're gonna pay for it. So you don't want that fight with your immune system. Another one is taking a break will reset my skin. Nope. As I mentioned, contact dermatitis does not go away. It's like the herpes of nails. It's lifelong. So you're always going to have it. And you could go years without doing your nails. And the first time you do them again, you could have a full-fledged, disgusting flare-up on every single finger. So don't test it. So as I promised or mentioned, there's just some few people that are worth mentioning, where I've gotten some of this information from, where you can get some of this information from, and also two people that I follow on TikTok who have, given me information on this, and some of these people. So number one, Doug Scholl. He's an educator, advocate in the nail industry, particularly recognized for his work on ingredient safety and allergic reactions to gel nail products. Now, I did hear he was a chemist, but when I did the research, it didn't say that specifically in just the one quick place I looked. But it is I did hear at one point he was a chemist. Don't quote me on that. If you know, let me know. Educate me, don't belittle me. Now, number two is who I mentioned earlier, is Dr. Dana Stern, is a board certified dermatologist who specializes in nail health and nail disorders. She's widely recognized for her expertise in treating nail-related conditions, including allergic contact dermatitis caused by gel nails. So, and finally, as for the top, like, big people, big people, that, not saying my TikTokers aren't, I love them, but is Jim McConnell. So Jim McConnell is a chemist. He's the co-founder of Light Elegance. I did get this information from you, Irene. So Irene was trying to, because she loves Light Elegance. It is a product that she uses, so spoiler alert, there's one that you can use. And he specializes in nail health and disorder. Oh wait, no, sorry. So now Light Elegance is a professional nail product company known for its focus on safe, high performance gel formulations. Now, he's widely respected in the nail industry. I even heard his name before, but didn't know what he was associated to. And also, like, he's widely known and respected for educating technicians and us DIYers about nail chemistry, curing science, and the ingredient safety. So, much respect. Much respect, definitely. You know, you've got your co-founder, you're a chemist, you're looking out for other people's safety, and I'm gonna probably watch some. I'm pretty sure he does maybe like not TED Talks, but you know, presentations. I might see if I can find some of those at some point and save them, take a look at them. So those are the three that I've heard the most. Dr. Stern only came up when I did my research. So I haven't actually seen her or even him, because Dana can be a guy's name too. Just it came up in my research, like I mentioned. So I'm gonna look her up too. Parking lot. I've already forgot what I put in the parking lot earlier. And my two TikTokers, Irene, who I've been talking about this whole video, not only is she a sweetheart, she replies to my comments when I comment on all her stuff. I watch all of her videos. She is out there to get the shady nail industry, and she is, I can't even think of the word. One, determined, but not like determined doesn't even describe it. It's like, you know, when she wants to figure something out, or, you know, say people are like people are commenting on her TikToks saying contact dermatitis isn't real. Now, I don't know if they're trolling or whatever, but like, Florida? Are you from, I don't know, Alabama? Anyways, no, that's here or not there the point. But anyways, she's phenomenal, and she's got the information. She's got a chemist certification from YouTube and Reddit. It's actually quite, I thought that was actually really, really funny. And lastly but not least, one, she's friends with Doug Scholl. She is funny, brutally honest. I could picture her being a Leo, maybe. I don't know. Anyways, but the nail whisperer. And I think there's some not controversy, but some people like are just like, oh, like, no, you're too harsh or this or that. I think she's hilarious. I think she speaks her mind. She speaks what she thinks. And I remember her even a TikTok that, or maybe real, that she had where something, I guess, in Doug's new book she disagreed on, and still after they like debated on it, still stuck with her belief system type thing. I don't know. I'd have to go find it. But great. She makes great, entertaining videos, and she's very, extremely knowledgeable. She's very allergy conscious, safety conscious. She gives you all the details down and dirty, and she's a character. She's definitely a character. So now, finally, for the end of part one, I'm gonna say my disclaimer again. I'm far from a chemist. This is just a lot of research that I've done, and you can't, do not, actually not you can't, do not trust everything that you hear and read on TikTok or whatever, because are so many nail techs out there that are saying different information that I don't know where they're getting their research or information from, but it's definitely not from credible chemists or, you know, people who specialize in contact dermatitis from nail products. So I have given you the resources of where I've gotten a lot of my information, and I'm just somebody who needs to know the why and how behind things. So please, like I said, educate me, don't belittle me. If I mentioned anything that was incorrect, just let me know. Also, I would love for you guys to share your stories if you have contact dermatitis, because my next video is going to be about my story, how I got it, and it's basically going from 2022 up until today. So I would love for you guys to share your stories. You can send me an email or just go to my Shopify and contact me from there. lotuslocked.myshopify.com, and just send me a message, or my email is lotuslocks.xo@gmail.com. So lotuslocks dot period xo@gmail.com. Send me your stories if you want to remain anonymous. Perfect, everything, but I would love to have your stories for blogs on my website, and when this information is edited and comes out. So, gonna warn you now, my story will have pictures, and they're nasty, and it's just begotten, these are harsh chemicals. So I'm trying, it's everywhere.